In this video, I'm going to show you how to use our digital annotation tool, Hypothesis. Hypothesis is licensed through the college, so all of our faculty have access to the tool, but more importantly, it's integrated into our e-learning system, and it is available on both campuses. So if you teach on Gloucester and you teach on Cumberland, or if you teach on one of them, you have access to Hypothesis. Hypothesis is a digital annotation tool. So one of its first components is it can help students or even you create notes on a digital content item. So such as a file, a PDF, or a website. So we put a lot of digital content up in our courses. So students may think, oh, well, I can just access it anytime and look at it again. But we all know that actually making notes is the best way to really learn something, because when you're jotting down notes, you're putting it in your voice, in your head, and you're almost translating it to the way that you know how to understand something the best. In terms of the classroom, Hypothesis has the ability to be a collaborative tool. So it can be used as an alternative to a discussion board. And the cool thing about Hypothesis is you can bring up a PDF and you can bring up a website, and the conversation kind of lays right over top of it. So one of the big complaints I hear from instructors about the traditional discussion boards, when you're grading it, you're only seeing what people are saying. You're not seeing the full conversation. With Hypothesis, you can see what students are saying on top of what they're reading, so you can make the connections a little bit better. And this tool is integrated with our system. It's also integrated to the Grade Center. All right. So I'm going to show you how to set up Hypothesis in two different ways. You can use a file. So I'm going to show you using a PDF. Or you can also use a web link. Web link means you can pull current events, different specialty websites, news sites that focus on your discipline. You can bring in all that stuff and they can comment on it. Using a file, you can create PDFs from your, let's say, lecture notes, or even your presentations, and have students make comments on your presentation. So, hey, put up your lecture notes and say, do you have any questions? And they can go ahead and just add those questions and you can respond to them. All right, so let's get started with some basics of just how to set it up. So here I have my course listing, and I'm going to go into this course. All right, and first step is to find where you want to place Hypothesis, or a Hypothesis activity. I'm going to go to a content area where you put all your lessons and activities together. And in my case, I use the learning modules. I'm going to click module 2. Hypothesis is set up under build content. So hover over build content and it is down here. There we go. And it's a little funky. All right. So example number 1. So what you need to do is actually set up a placeholder for Hypothesis, and then you go in and set up Hypothesis. So it's kind of like you're laying the foundation. You're telling your content area in Blackboard, hey, we're going to do a Hypothesis thing right here. And it'll say, okay, here's your foundation. And then you click back into it and set it up. So here we're just laying the foundation. Here you want to put your instructions. If you have an assignment sheet, you can add here. At this stage, this is not how you add the file you want them to annotate on. Okay, so just the foundation. It can be ungraded. So maybe even if you're just doing, let's say, the file that you're going to eventually add is your syllabus. Some people do syllabus scavenger hunts with Hypothesis, and you have it ungraded. So you can do no grading, or you can enable evaluation, and you add your points just like you would for any assignments. And you can add a due date. So let's just go ahead and make this due on Friday at midnight, end of day, 11:59. And then you can add your availability. I'm just going to leave it open because I tie my availability to that module folder. So let's go ahead and hit submit. Now here we have our web link. Now we can set up Hypothesis. We have our foundation. Blackboard knows we're going to set up a Hypothesis activity. And here we go. It's launched. So this time we're going to use a website. All right. I'm going to go over to, conveniently already open. Hey, and you copy the URL and go back to Blackboard, paste the link, and submit. You can actually do this as a group assignment, but most people that I see have used this as a single assignment. So let's hit continue. All right, and give it a second, and there we go. So this article is now in your class, ready to be annotated. You can see, here's my base navigation. I've never left Blackboard. So what you can do is this menu will pop out. You'll see your class, you can see your profile. So you can go ahead and, oh, we got one thing highlighted. Okay, so we've got this already highlighted. Oh, hey, I did that. All right, but how do we do this? So then your students would go in and highlight something, okay? They can just highlight it and you can pop that back out. And they can, this is what they highlighted, and someone can say, this is an interesting point. And you'd want them to say more, because when we see that on the traditional discussion board, that's a little boring. Why is it interesting? What makes it so interesting? But what they can do is, why is this interesting? Or actually, let's switch this up. This is not interesting. I found this video that says so. Maybe they'll be a little more professional, but you know. And what we can do is actually go to YouTube. This is where it gets, this is not as, this is where it gets a little more dynamic than your normal discussion board. Grab a YouTube link video, come back, and paste that video, all right? And then I'm gonna say post to the class. And the video pops up right there. So think of all the research components where you could put an article in and say, go find something that disagrees with this. Go find something that supports this idea. And the video is right there in their interaction. All right, so they can highlight something. They can also just make a straight up annotation. So highlight this and comment on this idea. So there's a lot of things that you can do with this tool. You can consider using it for vocabulary. Have students pick 2 or 3 words they're not familiar with. Go find the definition. Find opinionated statements and find a video or a comment that will kind of refute what you're trying to say or support what you're trying to say. You can add images. You and students, let me rephrase that. You and students can add images, add web links, and text as well. All right, and that's the basics for a web link activity. And then you can definitely go back in and grade it, but we'll cover that in another section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back out. Now you don't want to click this X, because that's going to pop you out of the class because of our new navigation system. You want to use these breadcrumbs here and just go back to our module. All right. Next, I'm going to show you how to set up a file activity for hypothesis. All right, so let's move on to how to use a file. And for this example, I'm going to show you how to load a PDF and create a hypothesis assignment. So there's an extra step to the PDF. You want to get the file in the course first. This keeps things organized and just works better with hypothesis. Trust me, this is what hypothesis recommends. All right, so I'm going to go to my files section. So see the files, and this is my course. And what I'm going to do is create a folder, and I'm going to label it hypothesis. Submit. The next thing I want to do is add the files that I want to use, or file single. We're only going to do one this time, to that folder. Upload files, browse local files. There we go. Okay. This will put the file in the course. All right. So now we've done that step. Step 1 is done. All right. Let's go back to our learning modules. Now this kind of picks up where we started last time. We go to our content area, same place we post the link. It is still build content. It is still hypothesis, and we still have to create the groundwork. So let's do example number 2, file. All right. We don't hash the file here yet. We wait till we actually have the foundation. We can still enable evaluation and do a due date. Let's go ahead and make this due next week. Give them a little time on this one. All right, we don't need any availability. So let's go ahead and hit submit. All right, and once again, click back into it, and we've launched the integration. All right, this is where we get into the hypothesis stuff. We click Blackboard because we've placed that file in Blackboard. So let's go ahead. It's going to give us a bunch of different files and file names because I got a lot in this training course. All right, hypothesis, there we go. There. That's another reason why they suggest creating a folder, because you've got a lot of stuff, a lot of different files. This way you know exactly that these are the files that you intend to use for hypothesis. Let's go ahead and click submit. And let's click continue. And now let's give it a second. And once again, you see we have never left Blackboard, and now we have this file. So I can go ahead and highlight this. All right, annotate it, annotation, yay. All right, post to e-learning student success. And then if this were someone else's post, I can click reply. Let's see. Reply. I love hypothesis. They love it. See, students love it. All right, post e-learning student success. And it's the same thing. We can go ahead and let's just grab another URL. Let's go to YouTube and say learning objectives. Okay, find some learning objectives. All right, that one looks fun. Pause because we don't actually want to play it. Because we've already seen it, we already reviewed it. We know it's good for the course. Go in, and then this person can reply, add that video. I like this explanation better. Maybe spell things correctly. There we go. Post, and then we've got the video and their comments on it. And once again, you can highlight on the PDF. All right, you can reply to it. Students can even trash it. And this works pretty much the same way as the web link for hypothesis. And once again, if you want to back out of this, you've done your activity, don't click this. This is going to bring you to the dashboard. It's going to bring you to the institution page. Use the breadcrumbs up here. So module 1 brings you back out. Okay. All right. So next step, how do we grade hypothesis in Blackboard? All right, let's move on to grading. So because it's an integration, it is a separate product. So it may not fit the same pattern that you've graded stuff in the past. It's not going to show up in needs grading. So I'm going to show you the easiest way to go ahead and do that. What we're going to do is click the assignment. All right. And here we see one student. Now I've made that preview user is me as a student. And what you can do is either click that user. Okay, so all students, let's go to that person. And then we will see all the activity for that one person. All right, so every comment that I'll make is here. But the benefit is you can still see what I was commenting on. On the traditional discussion board, the file is somewhere else. Here, it's like, oh, this person highlighted this comment, and it's right here. Yay! So hypothesis as a tool will grade out of 10 points, but once you put that into the grade center, it will look at what you entered in Blackboard as it being worth. So here I put a 9 in, it's going to translate it to a 90 in the grade center. So let's go ahead and take a look. I'm going to go to my full grade center. And here we have our example file number 2 and that 90. So while it does not show up in needs grading, it gives you the ability to use the drop-down menu, select a student, assess their work next to the text that they're commenting on, and enter that grade, and it'll go right to the Blackboard Grade Center. All right, if you have any questions or you want to learn more about hypothesis or want more ideas about how to use hypothesis in your class, just email us at elearning@rcsj.edu. Thanks for watching.